And here we go. We should be good to go. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar called Why a Degree in Accounting Pays Off. I am so excited to share this afternoon, or this almost afternoon, with you. And this afternoon, we're going to explore several of the career path opportunities that are available to students who have a business degree in accounting. And then we're also going to provide a little bit of detail on the degree that we are offering through Colorado State University at the Sturm Collaboration Campus in Castle Rock. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's do a few introductions. So my name is Faline Young, and I am the program coordinator for this accounting degree in Castle Rock. And then I'm also an accounting instructor, so I teach within the program. But I don't do anything in a silo, and I've also have Jill Garber and Lauren Kelly here with me today to help support this webinar. So if I could have you ladies just unmute your video and unmute your microphones and say for maybe just 30 seconds or so your role at CSU and also your role in the webinar today, please. Jill, take it away.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jill Garber, and I'm the director for the Regional Engagement Center here in Castle Rock. So I'm actually co-located at Sturm with Arapahoe Community College in the Castle Rock area. And so in my role for CSU, my job is to really kind of coordinate our efforts between our partners like ACC, the community, students, and our programs across the system with CSU Fort Collins, Pueblo, and also a little bit of CSU Global. My role today on the webinar, I'm going to help out at the end. So when you all put questions into the chat, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get those back to our other presenters today so they don't have to read and try and talk at the same time. So thanks for joining us this morning, everyone.
Yeah, and my name is Lauren Kelly, and I serve as the Student Success Coach for the Bachelor of Science in Accounting. So I work for Colorado State University Online, and my role is primarily just to help you a little bit with the application process. So giving you the basic information about the Bachelor of Accounting and just kind of explaining a little bit more about next steps. And today I'll just be explaining the admissions process and application materials. Happy to have you here.
Excellent. Thank you so much to both of you. I really appreciate you being on this call and also on the team. All right, perfect. So let's start with just a few foundational aspects and look into definitionally what even is accounting, because if you're interested in pursuing a degree in accounting or a career in accounting, you probably should have some framework on just generally what it is. And so what is accounting? If we're going to look at it in a cut and dry fashion, we could say that accounting is a system of records that depicts the operations and even the wellness of a business. But if we're looking at a more robust definition, which is the one that I prefer, we could say that accounting is the language of business. And you will hear that out in the world. And so those who are studying accounting aren't necessarily just studying the system, but they're also studying the language of how to communicate how businesses operate. And I also get the question all the time to try to distinguish accountants from bookkeepers. And so they're definitely within the same wheelhouse, but bookkeeping is typically more transactional. It deals with entering and maintaining the records of the company, whereas accountants typically are a more highly leveled skill set in analyzing and interpreting that language. So what comes out of the records is what the accountant then can analyze and use for decision making. So it's more of a big picture view, although they're pretty good at drilling down and deciphering problems as well. So that's kind of the difference there. Now we're going to look at several different career offshoots that you can take, including managerial, financial, tax, and then I'll look at some of the other niches as well. But one thing that we are also offering is that within each category, there might be a salary range. So you can see here on the screen, it shows that for a bookkeeper who is, for example, an accounting clerk, which would be like an entry-level bookkeeper, could make anywhere from $29,000 to $54,000 over on the right-hand side of that data set. And so where are we actually pulling these numbers from? Well, we are pulling them from a company called Robert Half, and this company is a recruitment and placement specialist for the industries of accounting and finance. So they do a lot of market research every single year on what the different salary ranges are for people with certain job titles within the accounting and finance realms. And so this is an excellent resource. You could certainly Google it and download their full PDF manual for 2020. Or if you'd like these slides, feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to send them to you and you can click on that link. You probably can't do it from the Zoom call though. And then just to kind of highlight, they give everything in a percentile. So the 25th percentile, the lower percentile they're showing, would be more employees who perhaps are less experienced, or perhaps working for a smaller company, or perhaps are working in a field that requires less technical capability. Whereas those in the 95th percentile on the other end of the spectrum would be those who are perhaps in a really large company or have a huge background to support them. And so they're being offered the same position at a higher compensation. So that's just a little bit of leveling the playing field so we know exactly what we're looking at here on the screen. And with that said, let's go ahead and dig into these different career pathways. So the first one is called managerial accounting. And as a CPA, as an accountant, I can promise you that when you walk out into the world and say, I do accounting, almost everybody says, can you do my taxes? And that is all good and well, and certainly a facet that we'll explore because it is one of the offshoots. But here's another offshoot that you might not think of originally as being, oh, that's an accountant that does that. So managers in general are responsible for planning, directing, and controlling the operations of any business. And so an example of how a managerial accountant might plan, direct, and control would be, for example, so they might plan by looking at product line A and product line B, determining which one would be more profitable to the company to go ahead with and produce and sell, and then implementing that decision-making process. So there's your planning for the future of this organization. They might direct the manufacturing process by reorganizing the warehouse structure so that it's operating in an efficient capacity and controlling costs in that way. Often managerial accountants are also called cost accountants because they're interested in keeping costs low. In addition to that, on the final aspect of planning, directing, and controlling, they might control or monitor, is another way of saying that, their activities by comparing the budget, what the company expected to earn and incur in expenses, and they might compare that using variance analysis to what actually happened, so budget versus actual comparisons. So this is a whole area of accounting that companies absolutely need, and this is particularly true for companies who sell merchandise either to other companies or the general public. Regardless of whether they buy the merchandise or make the merchandise, they need to learn how to control their costs, and so cost accountants are a big deal within those types of companies. And you can see here from the financial data that somebody who's entering into that profession, maybe who have just graduated with their accounting degree, could walk in the first 1 to 3 years, could have a position that has a salary of $54,000 to $103,000. That's a high level. Often I see in the Denver metro area, we would say maybe $54,000, maybe $64,750, maybe getting up into the 70s. But I would say for first year out of the gate, sticking probably lower in those percentiles, but that's still an excellent career. And as you can see, there is a ton of room for growth as you get up into that manager level, which will be consistent with all of our examples, because that is just how it goes. So there's managerial accounting. Another facet of accounting is called financial accounting. And I think that we're getting closer into the realm of, oh, that's what an accountant does per the general public. Although this area actually has a huge realm of different jobs that falls within it. So it's a broad spectrum. And those positions could be in what we call private or industry, so working for a company similar to cost accountants, or it could be in public accounting, which would be like working for a CPA firm and having many different clients that you service. So you're helping and assisting and advising many different companies and directors and managers of those companies. Now, and in fact, in many students who walk out and have an interest in pursuing financial accounting often start with auditing the financial records of many different companies. And it's not uncommon for this particular student who has decided they want financial accounting, they go through and doing something along the lines of auditing for a CPA firm or for an accounting firm. It's not uncommon for them to then branch out and walk into very high level positions within a corporation. So this is a good route for students who are interested in someday being a C-suite employee. For example, the chief financial officer or CFO this would be a good route for someone who's interested in that kind of a position. And as you can see, again, we have a really great salary range. For the first year, you can look at a position within financial reporting, bringing in anywhere from 51 to 76.5 as that range. And again, managers, we're getting up there anywhere from just below $100,000 to just below $200,000, give or take $30,000. So again, this could be a very lucrative and rewarding career if it's that route that you're interested in going. And then we do come to good old tax accounting, which, as I say, that's what everybody thinks that as a CPA I do. And I have done some of that, and it is a very cool career. It's very much for the student who wants to learn a very specific technical reporting framework. So we're working with the Internal Revenue Service if we're talking about income taxes, and learning all of that legislation that goes along with the Internal Revenue Code. So again, these employees could work for a company in a tax department, or could work in a public accounting setting where you are, for example, preparing tax returns or doing taxes advising or estate advising to different clients. And they're often pretty well paid, because somebody who loves the Internal Revenue Code deserves an extra $1 or $2, at least in my humble opinion. All right. Perfect. And then lastly, here are several niches that either require the knowledge of a different reporting framework. So they would have to learn a certain dialect within the language of business. For example, with governmental accounting and not-for-profit accounting, they have specific funds that they use or allocate. With construction, there is a lot of job costing, and so there are several different areas where you might have to have some specific expertise. I'm not going to go through every one of these in the interest of time, but one that I think is really cool is forensic accounting, and that's like using your detective skills to go through and look into financial records, and maybe with the desire of drudging up to see if you can locate fraud, or perhaps sometimes this is used in litigation. So it's not uncommon for forensic accountants to be called to trial to testify as expert witnesses. So again, just a huge realm of different careers that an accountant can go into that is different than what much of the public believes to be as the role of accounting. So let's talk a little bit about what Colorado State University is offering here in collaboration with Arapahoe Community College, with Douglas County School District. We've all come together and there's a beautiful new facility that was built in Castle Rock, Colorado. And so this whole project is 2 phases, and we've completed the first phase. In total, it should be about a $40 million build out. And we have this gorgeous new facility to show for it. And one more that's starting to, we're starting along with phase 2. And at the Sturm Collaboration Campus, we have all these entities coming together to provide students a collaborative space where they can pursue education in business, health, and technology. And so since we are business and also Colorado State University has a land grant initiative to provide education to the residents of Colorado, we thought that it was absolutely perfect that this was the space for us. And the degree that we are actually offering is the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. And we tout ourselves as being a top 100 undergraduate business program. It's a big deal to us. And a few stats about our program. So this is for all business admin students, not just the accounting major. So that would include management and marketing and computer information systems. Just to be clear, the degree that we're offering in Castle Rock is accounting, but these stats apply to all of our business admin students, is that over half, 61% of our students go through an internship while they are in the program, and we do everything we can to place them with employers so that they can start to meet and work towards their career aspirations in that way. And it really works and pays off, and we can know that by the statistic that 90% of our undergraduate graduates receive a job offer within 90 days of their graduation. And I think that that's pretty amazing. That's a high number. And then on average, we have a $50,000 average full-time starting salary. And again, I personally believe, well, I've seen the numbers, often accounting is on the higher end of that average, or that data set to create that average. And our program, so the program at Sturm Collaboration Campus, the BSBA in accounting, we're offering as a hybrid program. And so what that means is that it is not entirely on campus, face-to-face, and it is not entirely online. It is a combination of the two. Now, what we have done is we are very consistent in determining that all of our classes that meet for a face-to-face component are always going to be on Monday and Wednesday. And that helps our students to arrange their schedule so that they can come to class at that time. They know that Mondays and Wednesdays are for school, and then whatever other classes that they have throughout the semester will be a traditional online format, and they can then go ahead and complete that coursework when it works for their schedule throughout the rest of the week. And I think that that's helpful for anybody, for example, who is working and going to school. And so when we meet together on Monday, Wednesday, it might be the traditional type of format. So I teach several classes face-to-face. We go through it in a regular traditional format. We also might meet as a group and actually view lectures that are being broadcast in Fort Collins. And what's really cool about that is that you get the expertise of our amazing accounting faculty and other faculty that are at our main campus in Fort Collins. And anytime that you sign up for a degree with CSU, you get all of your CSU resources, which is also super incredible. So I've already mentioned our award-winning faculty. They are research focused, so they're on the cutting edge of what is happening out in accounting, the world of accounting, and the world of business, really. Our motto for the College of Business is business for a better world. So we're constantly striving to find that next amazing implementation or contribution that we can make. And in addition to that, we have an amazing network of CSU alumni. And again, we're just always trying to connect our alums to our students, because it's the network that really makes something amazing happen. And then the last piece that I'm going to highlight as a resource that every student in the College of Business receives is the support of our COB Career Management Center. And that's pretty amazing, because it's not only available, these resources aren't just available to the students while you're attending CSU and getting your degree, but they're also available to students for the rest of their life. So you could be off and working and you're ready for your next level up in your career, and you could absolutely come into the Career Management Center or schedule a webinar and do some mock interviews. They can help you with your search process or with preparing yourself for asking for that raise or whatever the next step is. And I think that having dedicated support staff in that realm is invaluable. I can say that I personally graduated with my master's from CSU. I did the Master's of Accounting, which is an excellent program. And I have used their services several times. So it's been really helpful in my own career. So I can only speak highly of it. And that, in a nutshell, is the careers that you can obtain with your accounting degree, and also look into our program. So now, Lauren, I'm going to have you log back on, please. And if you could tell us a little bit about what do I need in order to get in, and how do I get in?
Certainly, yes. Thanks, Feline. So with this particular program, you'll note that one of the most important things is to look first at the admission requirements. So currently the program is designed for students who have an associate's degree within business or accounting from a Colorado community college. However, equivalent credit is also accepted. So that's something that I can talk with you further on the phone as a student success coach, and we can talk a little bit more about what that might look like for you individually. Another admission requirement is that this program does require at least a 3.0 cumulative GPA or higher in order to be admissible. In addition to those things, we do require having at least a B- or higher within 3 different courses. So as you'll see on the right side of the screen, those courses are ACC 121, ACC 122, and then microeconomics. And then we do require a grade of a C or higher within, it looks like the Math 121 course as well. And our screens are over the number there, but I think it says Math 121 or Math 125, yes. And then the next part of the program that I wanted to cover was the cost of tuition. So currently this program is $381 per credit. And we also assess a $25 technology fee each semester as well. And then the last part of this slide is more about financial aid information. So if you are interested in using financial aid in the terms of loans and grants in order to pay for school, we recommend you complete the FAFSA. And if you're not aware of the FAFSA, essentially it is the free application for federal student aid, and in order to do that, that will let you know your eligibility in terms of loans and grants. And to submit the FAFSA, you will need our CSU school code. So that is on the website. It's also listed right here as 001350. And the College of Business scholarship deadline is March 1st every year, but this program also has a couple other start dates throughout the year. So we'll cover those within the next couple of slides. So Feline, if you want to move on over to the next one, I can talk about the application process. So the first step really is talking with me. So as your student success coach, my role is to help you through the admissions process and help you apply to the program. So if you don't know where to start, I'm a great resource for helping you get started with the program. You'll also find a lot of different information on our website about the accounting program as well. So for when you go online, you'll be able to see the application process, and you'll be able to note what you'll need to select in order to apply. So on the application itself, you'll want to make sure to select the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration Accounting, but make sure to select the online degree program. And like Feline mentioned, it is not entirely online, but we do want to make sure that you select that particular program in order to be admitted. The other thing that we'll need is your official transcripts. So we will need your official transcripts from your institutions. And typically, I suggest that students go to their website wherever you earned your associate's degree or wherever you have previous transfer credit. And I would suggest, usually websites have a search bar where you can search official transcripts in that search bar. And usually that's the quickest way to find how to get those transcripts sent over here to CSU. The last part of the application process is that you'll receive placement feedback within about 2 to 4 weeks from all documentation being received. Okay, so the next part here is just our frequently asked questions. These are some questions that I get relatively often, so I wanted to make sure that we covered them within the webinar. So the first one is, must I have to have an associate's from a Colorado community college to qualify? No, it is not a requirement. Like I mentioned earlier, we do require that you do have some college credit. So as long as you have the equivalent, then you would be eligible to apply. And if you had questions about admissibility, you're more than welcome to touch base with myself or with Feline, and we can help you further with that process. The next part is coming to campus for in-class instruction required? And yes, it is. Feline had mentioned earlier that we do require you to be in class on Mondays and Wednesdays. So the program is not completely online. Another question I get asked a lot is, what's going to be printed on my degree? So your degree is from Colorado State University. So it's not from CSU Online, technically. It will be from Colorado State University. And again, it's a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with an accounting concentration. Another frequently asked question is, how long does this degree take to complete? And this degree can be completed within 2 years with a full-time course load if students start in the fall. So that would be another question that I get asked often is, when are the application deadlines and how many times a year do you offer start dates? And it's a rolling admission program. So we offer start dates within the fall, spring, and summer semesters. As you're watching this, the next time to get started would be this fall, so this August. And the deadline isn't until August 1st. So we do have some time for you to gather application materials, and we've got a couple weeks here to talk further on the phone if you so choose. Another piece would be the application fee, and we do have an application fee. It is a $50 application fee. So what do I need to provide along with my application? So from my understanding, we would just require the official transcripts and then the online application itself, in addition to the application fee. And then financial aid, we kind of discussed that already, but we do have some We do have our FAFSA that we recommend that students complete, and we can talk more about financial aid over the phone as well, because there is quite a lot of variance within financial aid. So every student situation is unique. So that's why I really prefer to chat with students a little bit on the phone about your unique situation. So those are kind of the general questions that we have, and I'll go ahead and give it back to Feline just in case there's anything else that you wanted to make sure that we mentioned about the program, and then we'll move into some questions.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Lauren. I really appreciate it. No, I think that probably covers most of it. Jill, do we have any questions that have come through on the chat? Oh, we can't hear you. You're still muted.
Thank you. I am now that person on the recording. No, we haven't had any questions come in yet. I think you two have done such an outstanding job, but if anybody does have anything that they would like to add into the chat function, go ahead and do that, and I'd be happy to read that off for you, and Lauren or Feline could comment on that. I think to fill a little space in there, the one thing I was going to add on to what Lauren just said in the Q&A section was a little bit about the application fee. So if you so happen to be a student who has come through Arapahoe Community College and you're a graduate, as part of our partnership, we do waive that application fee for those students. So that's just kind of part of our partnership for doing this degree completion with ACC. So just kind of an added perk for those students. And if you are one of those students that Laura mentioned that maybe has some gaps in your credits and things that you wanted to transfer, we're all here to help you with that. And again, that's where sometimes either CSU Online, their courses, or locally here, face-to-face, Arapahoe Community College can help fill those in as well if you happen to be one of those people in that position. So I think our goal is just to really try and serve as many students as we can locally to help them without making it difficult and making them having to do it themselves. So I just want to add that couple of things.
Those are great points, and thank you for bringing that up about our partnership as well, because that is one of the benefits to the partnership, along with so many others. So, okay, good. And if you ever have any questions, our contact information was on those slides. Again, we should shoot out the slides to our participants, because we are always happy to help answer questions. And even if you have a bank of credits and you're trying to figure out whether or not you're eligible, that is a great place to enter the support system that is here and available to help you figure that out. All right, with that said, thank you so much to everybody who participated today. I'm thrilled to have connected with you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
I'm going to interrupt you. We did get a question. Okay?
Oh, great.
All right.
Sounds amazing.
So we'll give you one here to make it look good. Are there different courses for being a financial accountant versus a managerial accountant, for example?
That is such a great question.
How do I specialize?
That's great. That's wonderful. So within our program, we address all of those facets. So you will take managerial and cost accounting. You would take managerial before you got in, and then you would take cost accounting in our program. And then financial accounting would be an offshoot. We would go through the financial accounting intermediate and advanced series. So you get a fair amount of that, because that does tend to bleed into the other areas. And then you also take a tax class as well. So you get an introduction to each of those areas, which is important for somebody who's making a decision and going forward into pursuing one of those avenues. And then what you'll find is that often in your job, you start to learn the actual mechanics. You start with an introduction to each area, and then you find your field, and then learn a lot of that skill base through the career itself. That's a really good question. I'd be happy to talk about that further if you ever feel like it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yay. I think that was just wonderful.
Yeah,
okay, great.
Sorry to cut you off at your closing, but I wanted
No.
to
I'd rather speak than close. But if there aren't any other questions, I will let you all off the hook. But not if you come to my class. You have to go back on the hook. All right, perfect. Again, thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. Feel free to reach out. Bye now.